everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to this celebration of Seton Hall University baseball. At this time, to give a welcome to our new inductees and this afternoon's invocation, please welcome to the stage the 22nd President of Seton Hall University, Monsignor Joseph Riley.
Thanks so much, everybody. It's great to be with you today. It's wonderful to see so many people who love Seton Hall who are here in the same room. And the success of the four baseball teams is a great badge of honor for the university. And a wonderful gift, not just for you all, but for those who are athletes in the current day. Realizing that, working together, not just, showing our own talents, but helping people to grow in their own talents themselves and working together as a team is a great inspiration for the generations behind you. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of the university. And I've seen a bunch of people I know already here, but I'm grateful to be able to be with you and to celebrate you and the achievements that you all have made here for the university. And ask you to continue to pray for us here and pray for the men and women who are studying here and playing sports here. So let's pray as we begin that God's blessing will be upon us, all those whom we love, and this dear university that's loved by all of us. So we pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, you're the source of all good gifts, of talents, of achievement, of wonderful inspiration. And we ask you to bless our gathering today as we honor these four teams for the wonderful achievement that they've made for themselves, for the baseball team, and for the larger university. Keep us always grateful for the gifts that you've given to us. Because as our hearts are grateful, they're expanded, and we'll be able to manifest your joyful presence to other people. Bless those athletes who aren't with us today, who are with you in heaven, who are smiling down upon us. Bless the athletes, men and women who are studying and training and performing here. And bless the wonderful community of Seton Hall, all the students who began this past Wednesday their studies, that this would indeed be a place of formation for the whole person, the body, the mind, and the spirit. And as we hold one another up, we hold up those, especially as we're traveling in these days, that they'll be kept safe. And we ask this, bless our food and conversation today. And we ask this in all things through Christ our Lord. Amen. St. Elizabeth and Seton, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Monsignor Riley. At this time, I would now like to introduce a great friend of the baseball program, who's done great work for the program many years, and he's our Director of Athletics. Ladies and gentlemen, for a few remarks, Brian Fell.
Thank you, Peter. Welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Seton Hall University Athletic Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony. Today, we honor four extraordinary teams and induct them into our Hall of Fame. And before I begin, I wanted to take a moment, because obviously you have four amazing teams. They're made up of some incredible individuals. We have a lot of individuals here amongst those teams that are members of our current Hall of Fame. So let's give a round of applause for our current Hall of Famers. If they could please stand up and recognize. There's many of you here today. There we go. It's special when we can bring so many Hall of Famers back to campus. And it's also special, I always say, when we can connect our past to our present. And this special event, and I think anyone in this room would agree, baseball at Seton Hall has always been a family affair, more than anything that I've ever seen in my time, in my association with this university. And it's a special honor, too, that we get to keep our present in front of the mind. Our current team is here today. We give them a round of applause. Gentlemen, here, our current baseball team. I know Coach Shepard's going to say a few words, but their season starts February 14th, so first pitch is right around the corner. Events like this are possible with the support of many family, friends, alumni, and certainly all of our dedicated Pirate Blue members. With all of your support, you are providing the young men and women who wear a Seton Hall uniform the chance to not only pursue their athletic and academic dreams, but providing the opportunity to one day hopefully be Hall of Famers like yourselves. I'm looking forward to the ceremony here today to celebrate these amazing teams, the 1964, 71, 74, and 75 Baseball World Series teams. These four teams will soon be Hall of Fame members, and today they are paving the way for our student athletes' future success. Thank you very much, and go Pirates.
And the head coach of the Pirates, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rob Shepard.
This event is an opportunity for our players to meet the Pirates that reach the height of college baseball. We talk about our tradition and Pirate legends frequently. This is what we believe makes our program different. We embrace our history. Coach Shep wanted us to know who wore the uniform before us. When we play for the university and the gentleman that wore the uniform before us. The tradition in the Pirate uniform binds us together. As we celebrate these 4 teams on their induction into the Seton Hall University Athletics Hall of Fame, we recognize the greatness they achieved on and off the field. We look to these teams as an example of where we want to be. Your accomplishments drive us to stay focused on our goals. Your success was a total team effort. And being around you guys for a long period of time, you can tell how close all of you are. Teammates haven't seen each other in a number of years, and you can tell everybody kind of lights up when they see each other. And to me, that shows our players, our current team, to cherish the camaraderie of their teammates. Sometimes that's overlooked. The program is forever tied to these 4 teams. There are reminders of the College World Series teams all the time. Ron Buckowitz is a member of the 1964 team. He's the grandfather of Devin Hack, who just finished playing 5 years as a Pirate. Our alumni, when we travel or when we're playing at home, fill our stands. Whether we're on spring break in Florida, California, North Carolina, Virginia, doesn't matter. We always get guys to come out. Last year, Charlie Paleo and Greg Jemison, when we were down in Georgia, were gentlemen enough to come in and introduce themselves and spend some time with our players, and that means a lot to us. When we have former players, guys that have had tremendous success at the university, come in and take time to make sure that they say hello, really appreciate it. So thank you. A number of years ago, we were in Nebraska, and when we were playing Nebraska, and we decided to go to Rosenblatt right before they tore it down. And for my guys, Rosenblatt was the original home of the College World Series. And when we were there, we took a brief tour. And while we're walking around, this gentleman comes out. His name was Jesse Cuevas. And Jesse was the head groundskeeper at Rosenblatt for a long time. And he came out, and his reaction, he was like dumbfounded. He goes, "Seton Hall?" And I said, "Yes." And the first thing he said after that was, "Rico Bellini." And we got into a conversation. We started talking a little bit about the school and the teams. And he said he loved the aggressive style the team played. He remembered Rico, Ricky Spasta, Charlie Paleo, and Rick Cerrone. And then after we talked about it, he wanted to know if we still had a lot of Italians on our roster. We still carry on the traditions that started those teams, or that started by those teams. We honor Coach Carroll, Coach Shepard, Coach Murphy before every game. This is the 50-year anniversary of the 1975 College World Series team, and it's also the 50th anniversary of the passing of Owen T. Carroll. In the time leading up to the College World Series, Coach Carroll told the team to remember him when they played. Minutes before their second game against Florida State, the team received word that Owen Carroll had passed away. During the team prayer that we still say today, one of the players said, "Remember the old coach." To this day, we still say the same prayer to honor the old coach and the many others that helped define the program. Kirsten Meeks, The granddaughter of Owen T. Carroll is actually in attendance, so Kirsten. By the way, the team defeated, Florida State was the #1 team in the country, and on that day, Seton Hall beat them 11-0. You have set an example of what it means to be a Pirate, to have pride in the university, the program, and the uniform. You have proven that anything is possible through commitment and hard work. You continue to be great ambassadors of the baseball program and of the university. And for that, we are forever grateful. When you hear people talk about successful achievements by a team, they often speak of what's most important. Is it the journey? Is it the destination? Or is it the company you keep? You guys have proven that it's all three. Thank you. Never lose your hustle, and go Pirates.
Under head coach Owen T. Carroll, Seton Hall baseball became a Northeast powerhouse, winning 60% of its games in 11 of its first 16 seasons. In season 17, the 1964 Pirates ripped through their competition, winning 22 of 25 games before heading into the NCAA District II tournament. The Pirates then defeated LaSalle in the semifinals and Ithaca in the championship game to seal their first ever trip to Omaha. Helping the Hall get to the College World Series was a wealth of impressive hitting and dominant pitching. The Pirates had 6 players hitting over 300 for the season, led by John Menteleone, who batted .360, and Jack Tracy, who batted .333. Both were named All-Americans by the Sporting News. On the mound, Larry Falcon and Bill Matthews were almost untouchable, with ERAs of 1.34 and 1.52, respectively. The Pirates dropped their first game in Omaha to Maine and were trailing Texas A&M in the elimination game 5-3 in the 8th inning when Seton Hall had some Pirate magic. The Pirates exploded for 11 runs, which is still tied for the most runs ever scored in a College World Series inning, to beat the Aggies 14-5, stave off elimination, and ultimately finish 5th in the country. We now present to you for induction into the Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame, the 1964 Pirates baseball team.
The 1964 Seton Hall Pirates baseball team: Tom Bongiorno, Mike Cadenazzi, Owen T. Carroll, Frank Cushing, Ron Delmaro, Larry Falcon, Ted Fisher, John Fitzgerald, Ed Kennedy, Dick Noth, Bill Matthews, Charles Nagy, Kerry O'Connor, Jim Quelly, Harold Race, Nick Sanfilippo, John Cisleski, John Tracy, Dan Waraska, Dick Wischak. And in attendance today, and please stand and stage over here to receive your plaque, Ron Butkowitz. Bill Lennon. Bill Watson. And speaking on behalf of the 1964 team, John Monteleone.
Excuse me, well, I'm going to dispense with what we did at Omaha, but tell you a little bit about the team. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame for honoring the 4 Pirate teams. On behalf of the 64 teams, I'd like to offer our congratulations to the fellow Pirates. Your winning is really a continuation of the winning tradition of our Harvard program. I'd like to take a few minutes to give you some personal observations about our team. Right now, they're just names, but they all have personalities, and we all mesh them to play. So what I'm giving you is sort of what the immortal or legendary broadcaster Paul Harvey used to call the rest of the story. One of the interesting things about the team was that it was mainly first generation college students. And much like most of the students who were attending Seton Hall in the 60s, came from the communities of immigrants, the Irish, the Italians, the Polish, and the like. So we were the sons of what I would call working class Americans. And we brought with us a heightened desire to succeed and a strong work ethic. We brought with us diverse backgrounds with a singular purpose. We wanted to play to win. In the '64 season, luckily for us, that all came together. One of the rare but important things about that team was that it had a strong defense, from everything from catchers with the ability to control the opponent's base running to the stealing game. Our infielders gobbled everything up that came their way. And we had a lot of speed in the outfield. Cisak was in center field. He was a speedy guy, and Catanazzi could run too. He was in right field. What that really meant to us is this team really gave very few teams an extra out. And as you know, defense is important. Bear Bryant once summed it up by saying, offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. So that's pretty much the kind of team we had, a good defensive team. Our three catchers were Frank Bongiorno, Frank Cushing, and John Sealski. John, by the way, is sick and canceled at the last minute here. He has the flu, so just a shout out to John. Coach Owen Carroll deployed a very unique system where he actually platooned three catchers. I don't know if you've ever seen that done successfully, but he did. And it's, my recollection, John Sealski had a little more pop in his bat. But Tommy Bongiorno, he was a Brooklyn guy. He never stopped chirping behind the mask, and he led the team in what I would call swagger. Billy Lemon was our regular first baseman in Omaha. His backup was Ron Buckowitz, and both they're in attendance today. Tracy was at second, Danny Waratsko was at short, and I was at third. Personality-wise, we were just as diverse as our ethnicity. I thought of him as happy at first, fiery at second, steady at short, pretty at third, and Ron was lanky. He was the tall guy that I threw to. Our regulars in the outfield, as I said, were two left-handed batters, Cisak and Catanazzi, and three right-handed batters, Jimmy Quelly, Nicky Sanfilippo, and Curry O'Connor. So we had a lot of balance in our lineup as far as lefty-righty matchups. The top of our pitching staff, as you saw, included two left-handers, and one is here today, Billy Watson. The two left-handers, and two right-handers, Billy Matus and Falcon. Now, Larry Falcon was special. I know Billy Matus was very close, but Larry was a sinker ball pitcher, and anybody who's played in the infield, you know you love to play behind a sinker ball pitcher because you're busy all day. You can't be bored. And I would be willing to wager that Larry threw more ground ball outs per inning than any pitcher in baseball history. He just was a machine with the sinker. Larry passed a few years ago, so I want to acknowledge that Larry, what we call the quiet assassin, because he did this with a personality of just, it was nothing, guys, I just was doing my job. That was Larry. So that's the crew, or the main crew, that led our team into Omaha that year. And as you know, we already went through the record. I'll just skip on by that. But I wanted to say something about Coach Carroll, which echoed a lot of the things that we just heard. Coach Carroll was unique He was known to only by everybody, but to us he was known as Coach Carroll, because we had a lot of respect for the coach. He was a gentleman, a model gentleman, and he was a daily communicant, attended mass regularly. On the baseball field, he didn't wear a uniform. Like the great Connie Mack of the Philadelphia Athletics, he would wear a tie and jacket. It's tough to change pitchers if you weren't allowed on the field. So Coach Carroll did it through intermediaries. But Coach Carroll had a similar style as Connie Mack. He was not a belligerent, barking man. He was a very quiet-spoken man. And I think that it maybe come from his pro experience. He knew over 160 games. Yet you couldn't get too high with a victory and too low with a defeat, and that's how we kept our team. So we learned from him. I think, as you know, you saw the numbers. Coach Carroll was 50 wins, 2 losses as a pitcher at Holy Cross. And Babe Ruth was among the major league batters that he struck out. So Coach Carroll was somebody that, got our attention. He had been there. He knew how to win, and we had to learn from him. But it wasn't only just how to play. He also taught us how to conduct ourselves, and this is kind of a quaint story today, but Coach Carroll disapproved of profanity. And young guys, they rolled off our lips quite easily, especially if somebody made a play that's just taken out from us. But he gave us a lecture one day and said he would like us to start using more benign expletives. And he said, here's one you can try, just say chinkers. And then he said, Great Scott would work. And the other one he gave us was Branch Rickey's favorite, which was Judas Priest. Now, that's what he told us to say. I'm not saying that went down, but that was his idea of, how to be a model citizen on the ball field. I especially appreciated the way Coach Carroll used to save his criticism for a quiet talk. It was usually at least 24 hours from the offense. And I can still remember, he used to wave over and he'd say, hey, Monty, come over here for a minute. We need to talk. And without any rancor or raising his voice, he would explain what he saw that needed correction. So it's hard not to want to play for somebody like that, because he didn't embarrass you in front of the team, yet he helped you get better. And so that leadership, or that good leadership, really helped us. And it contributed to our cohesiveness, which is what Rod was talking about. It's a small sampling of some of the things that went on in '64. Some of them exceptional like that. You talk about that 11-run inning that we scored. But I just want to clarify that we scored 11 runs with wood bats. No one else has yet to break that with aluminum bats. We maintain that wood versus aluminum is a distinction with a difference. On our '64 team, we had a winning percentage of .833, and that's really unsurpassed by any Seton Hall team that played 30 games or more. The '64 Pirate team scored the only earned run. This is probably not well known by many people, but I remember the day, by scoring an earned run against LIU's first-team college All-America pitcher, Al Campese. Some of you might remember that name, because he pitched for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Minnesota Twins later. But we did it beating him on the home field here. Jack Tracy scored the run, and it changed Campese's ERA for the season from 0.00 to 0.27. But he still was named All-American pitcher because he had a 12-1 record, and that one loss there was inflicted by the Pirates of '64. In our regular season over the Naval Academy, which we won by a score of 64, catcher John Sealski earned the distinction of twice in one game thwarting the base running of Navy's right fielder, Roger Staubach. He was college football's 1963 Heisman Trophy winner. John first tossed out Staubach on an attempted steal of second, and then tagged him out in a collision at home plate. So we should put it in the record book that R. John Sealski was the only Naval athletic opponent who sacked the Academy's Heisman quarterback twice. 3 members of the 64 Pirates earned All-America honors. In 64, Jack Tracy and I were first team, and Dick Wasisak in 1960 earned third team honors. The 64 team sent 7 players into pro ball. They were Tommy Bongiorno, Dan Moratzka, Jack Tracy, Dick Wasisak, Bill Watson, Larry Falcon, and yours truly. All these ex-Pirates played at various levels in the minor leagues, from rookie to AAA, but regrettably, none reached their major goal, which was the major leagues. Lesson learned to all of you guys out there: pro ball is fun, so enjoy the ride while it lasts, but keep in mind how that Seton Hall diploma makes for a soft landing. My final memory took place off the field. It happened while the team was on a bus in Boston circling Copley Square. You have to understand, in those days we never went south, we went north. And we played when Lake Cayuga was frozen against Cornell and Ithaca. And we're up in Boston. It's a kind of a windy April day. And as the bus was slowing in traffic, this attractive young woman walking a large dog on a leash came into view. Someone yelled, "Eyes right!" In near unison, the guys rushed to the right side of the bus, where they whistled, stomped their feet, and banged on the windows. After we finally passed the woman and everyone had returned to their seats, Father Horgan, the director of athletics, who was riding with Coach Carroll in front of the bus, rose and slowly turned to address the team. Suddenly, the bus fell silent. He pulled a $50 bill from his wallet, raised it all to see, and said, "I've got $50 for anyone who can tell me what breed of dog that young lady was walking." So, after the laughter subsided and no takers rose to his challenge, Father Horgan pointed at a grinning Mike Catanazzi, who was seated nearby. He said to Mike, "How about you, Mr. Catanazzi?" Without missing a beat, Mike replied, "What dog?" For the record, it was a 120-pound Bernese Mountain Dog. I retell this story merely to share that we were a close-knit band of brothers having fun as we made our special journey to Omaha that spring. In closing, I'd like to extend on behalf of the 64 team best wishes to today's current squad, as well as to each athletic son and daughter of Mother Seton, who wears pirate blue, and to all of our fellow pirates everywhere, past, current, and future. We say stay the course, enjoy the ride.
In 1971, the Pirates were not a powerhouse, but rather a Cinderella, taking that slipper out, getting hot at the right time to force their way to Omaha. In what was Owen T. Carroll's penultimate season at the helm of Seton Hall baseball, the Pirates were 12-11 in the regular season. That year, the Pirates hadn't even taken the field until opening day due to poor weather the entire month of March. But living by the motto, hazards at forward, the Pirates persevered and got to the Metro Conference Championship against Iona, rebounding from a Game 1 loss to beat the Gales in the best of 3 to advance to the NCAA District 2 Championship. At Princeton University, Seton Hall's dominant starting pitching took center stage. Led by Jack Donovan and Gary Cavello, the Pirates allowed just 3 runs in 3 games, sweeping past Buffalo and St. Joseph's to win the regional and earn Seton Hall's second trip to Omaha. Seton Hall finished in the nation's top 8 in 1971, and it was a testament to the team staying the course and capitalizing on its opportunities. We now present to you for induction into the Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame, a Cinderella, the 1971 Pirates baseball team.
Steve Barris, Owen T. Carroll, Mike Bemigletti, Jorge Garcia, Ronald Gill, Tom Griesmeyer, Ollie Mitchell, Gary Notaro, Kevin Tennant, Kevin Toohill, and in attendance today, Joseph Abate, Marty Caffrey, Paul Caffrey, Joe Flannery, Tom Flannery, Joe Gallo, John Kelly, Jim Lammers, Dan Neely, Ed Nestor, John Schmidt, Bob Stanchak. And now please welcome to the stage Gary Cavallo and Jack Donovan.
How great it is to be here today. I would like to congratulate the 64, 71, 74, and 75 teams for being inducted into the Seton Hall of Fame. I would like to acknowledge a few people that have made this event possible. Brian Feld, our athletic director, Rob Shepard, our baseball coach, Nico Morisi, and Mary Laverty for the time and outstanding effort they put together organizing this memorable event. Thank you all. Unfortunately, some of our team members could not be here today. We lost our coach, Oni Carroll. What a great man. Ollie Mitchell, Steve Barrett, Kevin Tennant, and our manager, Buzzy Barman. I'm sure that they're all looking down on us today with a big smile on their faces. Lastly, our teammate Kevin Toohill is recovering in the hospital. Our prayers are with you. On a personal note, I have been blessed with a wonderful career at Seton Hall, but the number one thrill is when our team went to the College World Series, a thrill of a lifetime. Let me bring up Jack, my college roommate and best friend, and our All-American, Jack Donovan. Thank you and well done.
Well, here we are. Congratulations to all the teams that made it to the World Series. It's not an easy task. But I have to tell you, looking at the rosters of the teams that went, there was quite a few top-notch players. Monteleone, Mr. Fiore, Ricky Cerrone over there, and of course my man, Rico Vega. These guys could flat out play, and to tell you they had rosters that only good coaches could have kept them under control. Because I know Jackie Tracy was not the easiest guy to work with. He's a good Staten Island guy. But our team was a little bit different. I see they were calling us the Cinderella team. I think everybody in the country was calling us the Cinderella team. If I'm correct with my stats, I think we were 17 and 14 when we went to the World Series. But we had an interesting situation. Coach Carroll, he was a phenomenal guy to play for. But you never knew who was going to be playing. You had to show up to the ballpark, take a look at the sheet that was going to be in the lineup, and you found out who was playing and where you were playing. So we had two very good catchers in Borcheski and Kevin Tennant. So either one that you had there, we were very solid. Third base, you never knew who was going to play. Kelly played most of the time. Nestor played. Ollie Mitchell played. So when you got out there, you just were never positive who was going to be playing behind you. Shortstop was a Cuban shortstop. How could we lose with a Cuban shortstop? Come on. Jorge Garcia was a fine player. He was with us through freshman year. He got injured late in that 71 season and couldn't play. We had to call up a freshman, all right? A freshman going into the regionals and hopefully the World Series. And Joey Gallo shows up. He's got pimples. He's just this little kid. Unbelievable. So he gets in there, and you could not have put a guy in a much more pressure situation than we did with him. And I got to take my hat off to him. He was there the whole time, and he played his butt off. We had Jimmy Lammers playing first base most of the time. The sweetest swing of any guy you ever saw. Beautiful swing. Second base, he was the anchor of the whole infield. It was Joe Abate. I think he was the most underrated player in the Met Conference for 3 years. But every now and then, if he looked out, he was playing left field. You know, and Stanchek might be playing second if he wasn't playing third. Or he was somewhere else, maybe in the outfield. You just never knew. So you came to the ballpark every time thinking I might be in and I might play, and I got to be ready. In the outfield, we had Paul Caffrey, a young player, playing mostly left field, also played center field. In right field, we had Flannery, solid player, left-handed hitter, got the job done. But we had a very unique player playing center field most of the time, and his name was Kevin Tuhill. So I'm going to steal a line from the great speech that Jimmy Valvano gave. And he said in that speech that every day you should think, you should cry, and you should laugh. And if you do that, you'll have a full day. Well, the thing about Kevin Tuhill in center was that he was practically blind. So when there'd be a runner at second base, critical time, you'd turn on the mound and take a look at second, and you'd pick over the top of the guy at second, and you'd see Kevin out there like this. He was like Mr. Magoo. So I would think, keep it down low, get it on the inside, keep it in the infield. And of course, I missed the spot, long fly ball to left field. I look, he hasn't moved. So I'm backing up third base and I'm crying. And I'm saying, why didn't you hit your spot? Why didn't you keep it down low? Look around and he's flying across the outfield. And as I'm backing up third, I look, he makes the catch, like he always did. And I'd walk back to the mound and I'd start laughing. So I got to tell you, with him in center field, you could have a full day on one pitch. But he was special. He always got the job done, and he's fighting for his life right now. And our thoughts are really with him. We had a young pitching staff behind Gary and I. And they had to face the baptism of fire throughout that season. And they got better and better as the season went along. And if I'm not mistaken, right at the end, I believe we ran off about 10 straight games and got into the regionals. In the regionals, Gary and I took care of business on the first 2 games, like we did the year before. It was up to the young pitchers to step up. We had Marty Caffrey, Flannery. They were tough. Dan Neely was a heck of a pitcher, but they were young. And I'm going to make sure we get Griesmeyer. Don't want to forget him. He came to the school with a big reputation. It took a little while for him to get settled in. But that was pretty much our pitching staff. And I was listening to the young players coming over with the team that's going out now. I think their pitching staff was about our whole roster size. So I give Owen Carroll a lot of credit in terms of how he managed to get everybody some playing time, to get out there and get the job done. But these guys, these young pitchers, they came through when we needed them. And quite honestly, they got us to the World Series. Our players were not big superstars. We had a bunch of ankle-biting, nasty pirates that went every single day at the ballpark. You could tell these guys were never happier than when they were on a baseball field. And that's the type of players we had. And when it came time to get that clutch hit, make that play in the field, you didn't have to worry about it. They'd be there. I have to say, I was very, very proud to be with them. But on a personal note, starting our freshman year, went out to a game, or maybe our first or second game as freshmen, and Gary Cavallo was pitching in that game. And I had never, ever seen a pitcher pitch with such ferocity, with nasty, nasty intent on every pitch. And I watched him that whole game, and I had never seen anybody so aggressive and so on top of being the type of pitcher he was. And I said to myself, you better step it up, because that guy is something special. So, for 4 years, I had that big paisan pushing me the whole time we played. And we became roommates, and we had a friendly competition, mostly in our head. But I will tell you, he pushed me. I hope I pushed him a little bit as well. But there has never been a guy that I wanted to do battle with more than Gary Cavallo, because he was going to show up, and he was going to be as mean and nasty as you've ever seen on the mound, and he'd get the job done. So one of the things that was accomplished that we were very proud of, and I think the rest of the guys would agree, I think in the 6 games that we played St. John's, I think I gave up 1 run. Gary didn't give up any. We buried the St. John's program upside down.
I'm not taking that personally.
And I was embarrassed that I let that run. He keeps throwing shutouts, and I got to give up one. But that was an accomplishment that I think we were all very, very proud of. And then to get us into that World Series, that was something very, very special that we'll all remember the rest of our lives. So for the 71 guys, I would do battle with you anywhere, anytime, against anybody. You are that type of bunch of guys that I'd love to be in the trenches with you. Thank you very much.
In 1974, Seton Hall was in its second season under head coach Mike Shepard Sr., and it didn't take long for the Pirates to see a return to college baseball's grandest stage. In the regular season, the offense was clicking, scoring 10 or more runs 14 times, all victories. 9 players hit at least 280 or above, led by Ed Blankmeyer, who set a new single-season record with a .417 batting average. And the team exhibited the clutch gene. Pirate magic was real, winning 9 one-run games. Part of being able to win one-run games was getting great pitching, which the Pirates had with a staff ERA just a tick above 3, led by senior Marty Caffrey and freshman Charles Puleo, who both won 7 games to lead the team. With only 3 seniors on the team, this youthful Hall squad won 30 games in the regular season to set a new school record. For his efforts, Coach Shep was named the District Coach of the Year. Then it was on to the NCAA District 2 playoffs, and the Pirates swept through the double elimination tournament, defeating Penn State, St. Joseph's, and St. John's to send the squad to Omaha. In the title game, it was Jack Cuss' grand slam that broke a 4-4 tie against the Johnnies, and Rick Cerrone smashed an 8th-inning home run that broke Seton Hall's single-season and career home runs record. The Pirates had earned their trip to Omaha, and they had made themselves known as the Northeast region's premier college baseball program of the time. We now present to you for induction into the Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame, the 1974 Pirates baseball team.
Richard Samiro, Ted Zeck, Dennis Damaso, James DiLibero, John Giordano, Todd Heimer, Mike Knight, James Lynch, Jim McDonough, Ollie Mitchell, Bill Murphy, Mike O'Connor, Ed Poren, Mike Shepard Sr., Ken Sosnowski, Robert Swan, Walter Wozniak, And in attendance today, Rico Bellini. Please step forward and take your plaque. Stand up here. Rico Bellini. There's Rico. There he is. Ed Blankmeyer. Vinnie Byron. Marty Caffrey. Rick Cerrone. Mark Costello. Jack Cust. Charlie Duress. Joe Gallo. Len Glozensky. Bob Hemsworth. Greg Jemison. Tom Coburn. Dave Lombardi. Charlie Palea. Tony Roselli. Mike Rhoda. Ted Schoenhouse. Ricky Spasta. Frank Tracy. Joe Trotter. Mike Zayak. Fred Kopecki. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1974 Seton Hall Pirates.
So 1974, right here, I remember watching Genesis and Phil Collins perform, and it's about as big as a crowd that they were gathering back then. I remember also, I had a lot of history on the campus because I went to the prep, but I would walk home from grammar school, Lady of Sorrows, go through the campus, and I would watch 60-4 team practice, and I looked at Jack Tracy and John Monteleone like they were gods. I'm 12 years old. So I said, someday maybe I could be like them. And then I get down to the 71 team, and I look at Jack and Gary in awe. I idolize them. So it really put a full circle for me to come from grammar school to do what those guys were doing that I idolized. And you know, over the years, you know, you get together with your friends and so forth, and you talk about, obviously, sports, business, kids, and so forth, play golf with them. The only thing that's different, we still do that, is instead of talking about those sort of things, how's your prostate? What medication are you taking? You have one hip or two hips? So thanks, Brian, Monsignor, the staff, and the Hall of Fame committee for bringing this together and bringing everybody back. And as we all know, it's been said already today that seeing all these guys and all your friends from over the years is just a remarkable thing. And as far as the 74 team goes, it's a great monumental achievement, but it wasn't a surprise. Shep's first year was 1973. His first recruiting class was Rico Cerrone, Ricky Cerrone, Rico Bellini, Eddie Blankmeyer, Lenny Glozensky, and Greg James. Think about it. That's his first recruit. Then the next year, he brings in Charlie Palea, Vinnie Byron, Schoenhouse. What a core group. Every one of them, I think, played pro ball. And we had a leftover group, Joey and I, from the 71 team, and a bunch of other good players. So we were good. And then not only that, he brought in a transfer named Jack Cust. So we had talent at every position. And instead of me going through that lineup, I'm just going to read very briefly this article in the Star-Ledger. Seton Hall University's 33-8-1 baseball squad will open up play in its third College World Series when it faces Southern Illinois Saturday night at Rosenblatt Stadium. It will be Coach Shepard's World Series debut with Seton Hall's 64 and 71 entrees who are under the tutelage of Shep's former coach, Tom Carroll. The current team has set a school record for victories, eclipsing the 8 at the 1960, the 8 mark, set by the 1964 team. Some scouts have tabbed the Pirates the Mighty Mites, where there's not an infielder at 6 feet tall. But throughout the year, the Pirates have hit sharply with a team average of .307, fielded sharply, and received fine pitching as the season went on, and despite a spell of injuries down the stretch, the reserves responded splendidly. Now, this is in here, so this, Marty Caffrey, it's in here. 7-1, who has not lost since opening day at Miami, and had a strong outing against Penn State, 4-1 in the opener of the districts. Charlie Palaio, 7-1, Bloomfield. Glenn Glozensky, 6-2, Safa Middletown are the other key starters. Vinnie Meyer and Joe Trotta are both 3-2 as starters. Key bullpen artists, Dave Lombardi, Bergenfield, Mike Zayak from York, Todd Heiner, who hit 321 at first base, has a 3-0 start, including 9 scoreless innings. Get this, 9 scoreless innings in relief in the 4-3 win over St. Joseph's in the districts. Second baseman Ed Glencoe leads the hitters 417. Ted Schoenhaus at 395. And he's played perilous ball the whole year in center field. One of the best receivers the Holes ever had, sophomore Ricky Cerrone, picked off 14 men and caught 10 stealing. Picked off 14 men. Boy, Mark. And at the plate, he hit 347 to set a season home run record, as we heard, of 7 and a career record of 11, both previously set by Paul Caffrey in the 1971 team with former Kansas City Royal farmhand. Ricky Sposter, who has divided his time between first and the outfield, is at 333. Greg Jameson at 331. Rico Bellini, the key to the infield, at shortstop, finished at 300. And Mark Costello finished the season at third base, also at 300. Joe Gallo, who also played for shortstop in 1971. Bobby Hemsworth, we just realized was here, just saw him, drove in 20 runs. Jack Hust, almost 300, drove in 6 runs in that 11-7 triumph over St. John's in the finals of the playoffs that basically sent us to Omaha, and was used as first or the outfield. Cust had 23 RBI. Tommy Colbert finished at 290. The Pirates were also a running team with 91 stolen bases in 106 attempts. Spasta's tops were 23 for 24. Jameson, who was the second top base stealer in the country the prior year, was 20 for 23. Blanky was 16 for 18, and Rico was 11 for 11. So that's the summary of the team. But as great as an accomplishment it is to get to Omaha, it's not a surprise when you think about it. We were good. Now thinking back to those days, there's a lot of memories, but I got a couple that I want to just throw out there. And most of you aren't going to understand them, but the team will. The guys on the team will. One of the memories was out in Omaha. Mike Rhoda, who usually stays later wherever he is, wherever his buddies are, missed the bus to get back to the hotel. And the only way home is to hitchhike. So he's hitchhiking at we don't know what time. But who picked him up out of all the people is Coach Shepard. With an hour or two past curfew. Another memory was meeting Rich Samiro. Another memory is Frank Tracy eating months-old pizza that was under the TV because it was part of Joey Gallo's diet program. Rico hitting Shep in the head with the on-deck pipe and sending him to the hospital. We don't know if it was an accident or Rico was upset that Shep told him blanking was better. Speaking of blanking, the referee around blanking, he had to wear a cup. Some have noted earlier today during the cocktail hour, they are looking forward to the graduations of Dan Morigello and Frank Tracy. out in Omaha. When we got to Rosenblatt Stadium, we walked onto the field out of our third base dugout, and on the other side was Southern Illinois, and they started to stare us down. We were staring them down too. Vinny Byron, one of the biggest guys in the team, while we were doing the stare down, lost his lunch because he tried chew for the first time. After we got eliminated, we quote-unquote hijacked the bus to go over to Iowa because the bar stayed open later than they did in Nebraska. Because there was no other way to get there. Joey Gallo thought that this was one of his life's highlights, so much so, he's the only one that knows the bus driver's name was Carl. How about Joe Trotter down in Miami? While he was pitching, was getting threats, life threats, by Shep. Keith Moreland of Texas, who future Major League star, hitting a line drive so hard out in Omaha at Todd Heimer, it tore right through his glove. Todd Heimer hits 4 home runs versus Wagner, ties a national record. The comeback against Iona, down by 8 runs to win 11-10 in a key net conference game that if we didn't win that, probably kept us out of the playoffs. Mark Costello getting the big hit against Pete Vukovic in the Penn State game that won the game for us. And then another memory, although this goes back to '71, but it's Joey Gallo. Joe's, there's a lot of stories about Joey.
Where is Joey?
So Jorge Sanchez couldn't play, was hurt, as Jack mentioned, in the '71 World Series, and so Joe, as the freshman, had to play shortstop. And obviously he was very nervous, and so Kevin Tennant and Dan Mealy, on a way to help loosen him up, they broke into his room, stripped him of all his clothes, shoved him into the elevator, and sent him to the lobby. Now, if you know Joe, you'll get this. Joe could be heard saying to everybody that saw him naked, "Good evening." I got you remember Moss Klein, of the famed Klein family of the New York Star Ledger. Dave Klein was the Giants beat writer. Willie Klein was the sports editor. Moss Klein got word of this event, and he sent me this. I'll just share a little bit with you. I heard about the Hall of Fame. Now remember, Moss, when he was 24, was assigned by the Star Ledger to come out to Omaha with us and report on it. And he gave us so much great publicity. We were rained out 3 days, and there was not a lot you could write about, so he would put articles every day in the Star Ledger about us, and we had such a big following as a result. 24 years old, was sent out there. He goes, that's a great and well-deserved honor for your team. I was fortunate to have been able to be on that ride. It's amazing how the time has gone by so quickly, 50 years. Give my warmest congratulations to all of your teammates. That's from Moss. So, finally, we talk about a couple guys before me and what this team thing means. Rob started it off. And one of the great memories are great, and memories will never fade, particularly talk about the College World Series. But the greatest thing, I'm not speaking for myself, I'm thinking about for everybody, is the friendships that we made, fostered, and are as strong as they are today than they were ever. We still all get together. We still hug each other. We still talk. It's amazing. It's amazing to me that something like playing baseball can produce such strong friendships in such a strong bond. And that's one thing that is, to me, it is one of the greatest things in my life, is having these teammates that I call my friend, my good friends, my best friends, for the last 50 years. And that, I think everybody should feel, does feel the same way. I can feel it in this whole group. Thank you.
How do we follow up the success of 1974? By putting together one of the best seasons in program history. And that's what the 1975 Seton Hall baseball team did. The Pirates ripped off 31 wins in 36 games, including 14 wins in a row that culminated in capturing the NCAA District II playoffs and a trip to Omaha with wins over Penn, St. John's, and Maine. The offense was even better than 1974, hitting .304 with 40 home runs and slugging .455 as a team, and scoring double-digit runs 18 times. Rick Cerrone was the leader of the offense, becoming just the second Pirate to ever be named first-team All-America. But he wasn't alone, as Rico Bellini, Ed Blankmeyer, Greg Jemison, Tom Kober, Ricky Sposta, and Ted Schoenhaus helped create a lengthy lineup with no holes. And the team was close to a complete squad as could be, with incredible pitching from Todd Heimer, Len Glozensky, Charles Puleo, and Vinnie Byron as starters. The 1975 team comprised of 8 players who went on to become major league draft picks. The Pirates saved their best for last in Omaha. Ranked number 9 in the nation, but facing elimination, they took on number 1 Florida State and took the field not long after word got to them that former head coach Owen T. Carroll had passed away. Winning one for the old head coach, Mike Shepard Sr. and the Pirates routed the Seminoles 11-0 behind Heimer, throwing a complete game shutout against a team that averaged over 6 runs a game. The Pirates completing the season, finishing 5th in the nation, and is one of the most talented teams to ever grace South Orange. We now present to you for induction into the Seton Hall Athletics Hall of Fame, the 1975 Pirates baseball team.
Bob Cavagnaro, Richard Samira, Lou Deloria, James DiLibera, Dennis Damaso, George DeLello, James Gibbons, Jose Gonzalez, Todd Heimer, Larry Irvin, Ollie Mitchell, Bill Murphy, Mike O'Connor, Lou Rassiopi, Mike Shepard Sr., Robert Swan, Bob Toth, Ed Boren, and in attendance today, Rico Bellini, Ed Blankmeyer, Vinnie Byron, Rick Cerrone, Mark Costello, Charlie Dureps, Len Glazensky, Bob Hemsworth, Greg Jemison, Tom Kober, Fred Kopecki, David Labardi, Dan Morigello, Charlie Puleo, Anthony Roselli, Michael Rhoda, Ted Schoenhaus, Ricky Sposta, Joe Trotter, Mike Zayak, and Frank Tracy. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1975 Seton Hall baseball team.
I can't believe that we were the youngest of these groups, 75 team. First, I gotta have a shout out to all the Staten Islanders. What a connection we had. And one of my idols was Jack Donovan. I played with him. I think I was 12 years old and he was 17, or 15 and 17. And we played on the same team on Staten Island with Tommy Kober and Bobby Hemsworth. We had a number of Staten Island greats, and Shep came over. I'd like to mention that what Shep did for us when he came in 73, it was a very difficult job for him. He came in and his military background, he was a Marine, he came in and he was pretty serious about doing things the right way. And if you didn't like the way he did it, you weren't going to play. And the discipline that he brought in, I really think helped the landscape of the program right there in 1973. We actually ended up, the 74 and 75 team, there actually are 20 players that were there in 74 that continued into 75. So we were a little seasoned. The second year we went out to Omaha. I remember the first year we went out there, we were on a plane, and we had only been on a plane one time, and that was out to Miami at the beginning of the season. And certainly no one was waiting for us in Miami. We get off the plane in Omaha about 3 or 4 days before the tournament started, and the stewardess made an announcement for the Seton Hall baseball players to stay on the plane while everyone else got off the plane. And we were kind of surprised, we didn't know what was going on. And then after everyone else got off the plane, we get off the plane, and we go down the corridor, and all of the people, they're saying, hey, here they come, here they come. And I'm saying, I thought there was a celebrity on the plane here. There was some Hollywood star, and all of a sudden, there were people lined up taking, grabbing us for autographs and interviews, and it was so taken back by us. We were never, ever used to something like that. It was such a great experience. The 74 and 75 group, 11 players signed Major League Baseball contracts. And we ended up having 3 players play in the big leagues. I just want to recognize those 3 players that ended up playing in the big leagues. Danny Morigello got a ring with the Orioles. Charlie Paleo, and I think someone who helped this whole program, all of the guys that came in after him because he was so popular on the national stage, Seton Hall was able to recruit a lot of players because of what he did. And I've said this before, dear friend of mine, but when we played in 74 and 75, I felt we were winning 2-0 before the game started. Because he'd either throw somebody out or drive in the run. And my buddy Rick Salone. Couple of things off the baseball topic. Some of the things that some of the people here that we played with, the terrific buddies of ours, that what they did outside of the baseball world. One person to my right, his name is Tommy Koba, and he was a great player on our team. And what the Koba family did for Parkinson's disease for about 10, 12 years in the Michael J. Fox Foundation, what Tommy and his family, his wife Elaine and his kids did, is absolutely remarkable. And I just want to recognize Tommy and his family. God bless you. We've got about 35 players here, and if you played in the tri-state area on this year's team, if you played in the tri-state area, I can promise every single one of you have played at Diamond Nation in Flemington, New Jersey. And Jack Cust and his family, Faith and his 3 boys, have a facility in Flemington, New Jersey that is second to none. This was Jack's dream, I don't know, about, I guess 40 years ago. And what he has accomplished in Flemington, not only on the baseball end, but the whole revitalization of Flemington downtown. And I just want to shout out to Jack and his family. God bless you. Also, Eddie Blankmeyer, who has been part of this program as a player, as an administrator at the school, right-hand man for Mike Shepard, and was inducted, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago into the College Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. I think Eddie ended up with about 650 wins at St. John's. He made his bones here, playing with us, and then coaching with Shep. And then he was smart enough to get married to Shep's daughter Susan, and I want to give her a shout out and Eddie Blanco. What Seton Hall has provided for me, I was born in Italy. I came to Staten Island. I was a young little boy, loved baseball. The man upstairs gave me some ability. My parents would have never been able to afford to send me to school. And baseball got me through college, and I was fortunate enough to have a 25-year career on Wall Street, and I've got two wonderful boys I'd like to recognize. My older boy, Michael, runs a hedge fund, and my son, Joey. I have two boys, or three boys. My two boys are here. Michael runs a hedge fund, and my son, Joey, my younger boy, is a CFO, and I couldn't be more proud of my two boys. This Seton Hall is a family affair, it really is. It's a small community. Baseball has provided so much for so many of us. I congratulate all four teams. Robbie was, I think he was 2 or 3 years old when we were out in Omaha, and I remember those days, and I can't believe that I was looking at the statistics yesterday, and from 1948, when Owen Carroll took the job, to 2025, only 3 coaches have ever coached baseball at Seton Hall. It was Owen Carroll for 25 years, I believe, Mike Shepard Sr. for 30 years, and I think Robbie's on 22 or 23. So that's quite a testament, to Seton Hall and how we keep it in-house and how this baseball program has helped so many people. I want to thank Brian Felt and the staff for acknowledging these 4 programs, and I'm so happy everybody was able to get together, and go Pirates.
Well, that concludes this afternoon's program. Let's once again give each other a big round of applause. These 4 teams